Never judge a man whose shoes you haven't walked in. Message. Never judge a man whose shoes you haven't walked in. Oh man, we made it. This is fruition. It's everything. When I say that, it's all good, you know what I mean? Because we know it could be all bad. So good is everything that is not all bad. I mean, that's everything. You apply that to everything. It's a lot going on, you know. A lot of things that came across the feed, right? Where, you know, it's sort of like, you know, you even though you might not do a take on it and chime in on it, it's you know, you know, you take a stand on it. It's easy to take a stand on it. Never judge a man when you haven't walked in his shoes. It comes to mind often. With me personally, you know, I apply that. Man, it's you because it's perspective. It doesn't take much to go, you know, for something to be bad. I'll put it to you like this: the same thing that makes something good is the same thing that makes something bad. The same thing that makes something good is the same thing that makes something bad. And it's like that with everything. Whether you're mindful of it or you don't even have to be, just sit still and be aware of it. That's the way, you know, you can prove it. If you just delve in a little bit into any situation that you know that you encounter, it doesn't even have to be a personal situation, right? The same thing that makes something good makes it bad. It's the same thing. These is laws and principles working, whether you subscribe or believe in it or not. If you put it to the test, or I just challenge you to, you know, be mindful of it. The same it's the same. It don't even matter. It don't even matter what the circumstance or situation, what the situation is. If you just experiment with it, the same thing. It's the same thing that makes something good can make something bad. Period. That's why you don't judge somebody. It's easy to come to rush the judgment, and whether you have the facts or not. When you haven't, if that wasn't your circumstance, never judge a man whose shoes you haven't walked in. Period. Period. Man, it's a beautiful thing, man. When you get a chance, you know, we dealing with laws, you know, we dealing with laws that's unseen to the naked eye, right? That's unseen to the naked eye, right? Whether you want to, you know, believe in ghosts or not. But if I was to tell you that it's always beginning, right? Something it's always a beginning. You know, you could take the perspective and say, yo, well, nah, Drew, it's always ending. And you will be correct. Why? Because the law says when something is ending, something is beginning. It's the beginning. Like, this is fruition, right? This is fruition. And we made it. Hit that like and subscribe, you know, for the algorithm. the same thing that makes something come to an end. It's the same thing that makes something else come to the beginning. Right? I mean, if you really think about it, right? It's the beginning. That's what we're dealing with. The exact same thing that has something agreed upon to stop or end is the same something that begins something else. You know, we made it. That's the mantra. You know, we made it. This is fruition. Pivotal moments in life, right? Pivotal moments in life, you know, ends one chapter, right, and begins another one. Ends one, you know, as you know, day and night, right? It's the same thing that separates the day from night. It ends one day and begins another one, as we know it. So the same, you know, it's the same thing that could be your gift, could be your curse, in lack of better words, you know. In lack of better words, you know, your same thing that is your go-to could go against you, right? When we not aligned and we not tapped in and we not focused and we're not mindful, when we're not present, okay? We're not grateful, right? Never judge a man when you haven't walked in his shoes. Yo, I'm trying to tell you, man. And it's a beautiful thing, you know. It's a beautiful thing. I say, man, I love to speak to people, man. I see myself in, you know, that's what reflection is. You see yourself in everybody, in every situation. And that makes, I don't know if that makes you an empath. I don't, you know, I don't limit myself to labels, you know, things of that nature, but you gotta, it's compassion, you know what I mean? Being compassionate, you know, to others, you know, the grace, you know what I mean? It's the oneness, you know what I mean? But like, be grateful and, or be compassionate and show grace to yourself first. I think that's needed, you know what I mean? But never judge a man, you know, when you have not walked in his shoes. And I say that, you know, because, pardon me, I say that because, you know, like I said, you know, on the news feed type thing, you know, everybody knows what's going on. And it's just, you know, what you would do and what you wouldn't do. If that situation, you know, that's not to be even thought about that way. I just say, for me, you know, because, you know, you'll have a take on it. I'm not going to go, you know, it's not necessary for, you know, my opinion on it or you know, on the said subjects, right? But everybody knows what's going on in the news thing. And I just, you know, I take, you know, not, and I extend that arm to anybody, you know. Don't judge a man when whose shoes you have not walked in, man. Straight. You know what I mean? Because the same thing that could be your blessing could be you feel me? The same thing that makes something good for you could make it, like the same thing that makes it night makes it the day. The same ending is the beginning. So, you know, and we're dealing with that. So being in that present, in that mode or that gear, like we were saying, in that vibration, in that space of understanding and awareness, right? That's the line that we traveling, and we gotta create with that, and we gotta stay in that frequency. That is the task. That's the task, you know, itself. Staying there, staying in that overdrive. You know, because it's not cruise, you know what I mean? Like I said, you got detours, and then, you know, the best way I could put it to make it make sense is, deal with it as it comes, right? But be self-aware. Be self-aware. Self-awareness is the only awareness that, the business of man is reflection. How about that? You have to reflect on everything that we do. That, yeah, things that we encounter, our mind space. Hit that like and subscribe. Hit that like and subscribe for the algorithm. It's fruition, man. We made it. We made it. The same thing, it'd be the same thing that in which we made it to cause us not to. You know what I mean? Yo, listen, you judge it by the same thing. Like, these is forces. These is forces. That's why it's not good to stay in like a slumber or a low vibration. I mean, we human beings at the end of the day. When you get pulled, when you start to get pulled, man, you don't even have to get pulled. You don't even have to really agree that something is an issue. You right? If it's a curb ahead, when you approach it, walking, right? Awareness is going to have your knee lift up just as high enough to get your foot over the curb, and you're going to step over the curb. That's just being aware. That you didn't have to agree that was no issue. It wasn't no issue there, a problem there, or nothing. It's just, that was along the path. And we said, okay, we're going to go ahead and maneuver. That's simple. Let's make it simple and maneuver life like that. We're not, it doesn't, your mind is not even on it after you step up the steps. You got stairs right there. We didn't know where this path was going, but it's a staircase. You're gonna get to the staircase, what you gonna stop, think about it, and say, oh, figure it out. Oh, this is a problem. Let me calculate this and how we're gonna get up these steps. Nah, awareness is gonna have you just climb the staircase. Like, you're gonna walk up it, you're gonna go up it, or you're gonna turn around, you're gonna stop, or whatever you're gonna do depends on, But it's not, it's not even about looking at where you come. I mean, that's a simile of how life is, and what I'm saying. Make it simple, man. It'll make it simple, man. And like, it's easy. I know, it's easy to get caught up in the hoopla and all that, things that's going on, the distractions is there. You're never going to be in a shortage of distractions. You know what I mean? Mind your business. The business is reflection. Reflect on self. Mirror what's inside. We're mirroring what's inside on outside. We're manifesting that outside. And so that is what your environment or your world looks like, what you're mirroring from inside, not what's out, not looking into a mirror. You understand? Like on the wall, like mirror on the wall. Nah, that's another video. It's like, you're scrying. The image or the mirror is your mind, and that's what's manifested outward. And that's what we see. That's the world that we're living in, is the one that we're internalizing. And you're creating that through your mind. And man-made manifest. But listen, man, we made it, man. Glad you could make it, man. Everybody have a truly wonderful, great everything. Peace.